Hello, this is Nathan Lott, and this is a screencast for Mac Apple users in San Antonio and Cat Mac users group in Austin, Texas. So, on today's screencast, I'm going to be talking about photos in Sierra and iOS 10 and some of the changes that have been made there in the latest operating systems. So one of the first changes, we'll pull up photos, is a section called memories. So every day, Apple will present you with a new memory. So today happens to be Thanksgiving 2010. Yesterday was December 28th. Together photos from 2007 to 2015. Springdale and Rogers, which is in Arkansas, and so on. If you click on one of these memories, you see a cover image here, and then you see all of the photos that are in that memory. You can see a summary, or you can do show all. You can see all of the groups and people that are featured in that memory, and you can see that memory, all the places on a map where that memory took place, and then it also will show you related memories. And then if you don't like it, you can delete the memory. It doesn't delete the photos, it just deletes that memory. And of course, if you want to do a slideshow, you tap on the little triangle here, and you can choose the music, either from iTunes or from the theme songs that it's preloaded with. So if I were going to choose that one, and then I can choose a theme. Let's say Ken Burns or Origami Reflections. Sliding panels and so on. Then you can play the slideshow. On the iPad and iOS, memories is slightly different. So we'll bring up photos and go to the memories tab. So let's go to the same memory that we used, Springdale's and Rogers. And now you can watch the slideshow from the title card. And you can choose different sequences. So dreamy, sentimental, gentle, chill, and so on. You can adjust whether you want to see short, medium, or long. So short will be some photos, medium will be a little bit more, and long will be a lot of photos. And then you have more editing options with this button on the bottom right. You can edit the title. You can change the music through the built-in soundtracks. And there are a lot more choices that you can download from Apple based on the different moods. And you can manually change the duration and then pick and choose what photos. So if you don't want that one, you can remove it by tapping on the trash. Like that's a blurry one, we can remove that. Or you can also add pictures. So we removed those two and added two more. So you can really edit your slideshows and photos for iOS. And then again, you have all of your photos. You can show them or just a summary. It shows the people involved, the places where you took them, related, and so on. And then you can delete the memory. So everything else is pretty similar. So next, let's move on to people. In macOS Sierra, this top bar is going to be your favorites bar. If you don't want any of these people to be your favorites, you can move them down here to the bottom part of your screen. If you want them to be a favorite, you can move them up. If you click on a face, it looks a whole lot like a memory. You see the title, the photos, groups and people, places, and related. And you can even add that to a memory, that whole selection of faces. Or you can just see it by face or by photo. You can also confirm additional photos. Okay, so then it will try to zoom in on a face that it thinks is me, Nathan Lott. So that is me. That is me. Yes. Yes. So far, all of these are me. And then we get to someone that is not me. So I can say no. Then back to yes. And then I've just added 71 people to my face. And so you can do that for each person. You can also do this manually by checking on the plus. All right, let's create a face for this person. This is a person named Kelly. So we're going to add, and I can click under it to add a name. And it found 12 pictures with him in it. And then again, I can confirm additionals. So it will ask me. I can also go into add people, and if he were in, let's do that with my wife. So this is Amanda, and we'll hold down Command and just click on the ones of Amanda. And I'll do merge and add. And then I can select Amanda and then also Amanda Lott. And right click and it will give me an option to merge the two people. So I've gone from 725 pictures to 828 pictures. So that's another way you can add more faces. So let's look at people on the iPad. We can go to albums, people. I can drag my favorites up to the top part of the screen just like on the Mac. So I'll drag my family. Here's Amanda. When I tap on a face, I can add the name. So now I've added those names. I can see all the pictures that I am in. I can confirm additional photos. And just like on the Mac, it will try to identify photos. So it asks, is this Nathan Law? Yes. Yes. And so on. So you can confirm additional photos here as well. So that is Faces on iOS, or People, it's called. Next, let's go to Places. In Places, you have a map. And so this tells you where you've been, and you can zoom in and see, for example, all of the pictures you've taken in a particular location, like when you went on vacation or something. If you click on a picture, you can see all of the photos from that. You can also click on the neighborhood. So these are taken in Southtown, and I can see a Places map of where those photos were taken. I can show it in map view, satellite view, and grid view. And then you can also add places. So I'll go to an album of images taken with my Canon camera, DSLR. So all of these were taken at the St. Louis Botanical Gardens. In fact, let's just highlight all of the ones from the St. Louis Botanical Gardens. And I can go to Command I or Window Info, and I can assign a location to that. So I'll type in St. Louis Botanical Gardens. It's the Missouri Botanical Gardens in St. Louis. So now all of those have been added with that location on them. So when I go up to Photos, actually, I can go to Places, and let's go to St. Louis. And I have my photos from the St. Louis Botanical Gardens, or the Missouri Botanical Gardens in St. Louis. Another way to add places is with an app called Huda Geo, and I'll have a link to that underneath the video. I have done a video about Huda Geo in the past for really getting into specifics on photos of where you might have taken something. The last thing we're going to look at in Photos is a new extension called Markup. So let's just take this screenshot here, or a photo of a screen that I took, and we'll go into Edit, Extensions, and these are all third-party software that I have that allow for Photos extensions. And I may talk about these in upcoming screencasts. But one of the ones that is now built in is called Markup. In Markup, you can draw, either by just making a freehand circle, it'll make it a perfect circle, or you draw your circle or whatever shape you want, and it can either change it to an actual shape like an oval, or you can choose the exact shape that you drew. You can have arrows and lines and make them curved or straight, as well as just regular lines. And you can make those curved or straight. You can make shapes like uh, rounded rectangles, squares, thought balloons. And then you could add text in those balloons. And you can make the font bigger or smaller and change the font. You can add different thickness of lines. So if I wanted a really thick arrow, my arrow tool, and just make a really thick arrow, curve it if I want. I can have a dotted line or something that looks like a painting, a brush, a paintbrush. You can adjust the arrow direction, and you can also give it a drop shadow. For shapes, so if we did a star, I can have a purple inside the star and yellow border. So these are just some of the things you can do with markup in Photos. If you want to save it, you can click on Save Changes, and it will look like that in your photo library. And as always, with any changes you do in Photos, it is non-destructive. You can always revert back to the original. On the iPad, you can get to the same thing by clicking on the photo, clicking on the edit section, going to the circle with the 3 dots, and you have your markup capabilities. Again, you can draw. On this one, you have a magnifier. You have your text, and when you double tap on it, you can edit it and then drag it anywhere you want to. If you tap on it, you can edit it, duplicate it, or delete it. You can change colors, and you have 3 choices of lines: small, medium, and large. And you can have 3 options of fonts. You can make the font bigger or larger, and you can justify left, right, or middle, or justified. And then there's an undo button for multiple undos. So markup is a little bit less you can do on iOS, whereas there's a little bit more you can do with memories on the iPad. So for the most part, iOS and Mac are pretty much on equal footing as far as Photos goes. Although in some ways there's more that you can do on the Mac, and in some ways there's a little bit more you can do on iOS. So that is Photos in Sierra and iOS 10. I hope you enjoyed this screencast, and I'll talk to you next time.